I'm Mike Loveday from StudentSportsLacrosse.com, and I'm here with Emily Cohen from GW Hewlett in New York. And well, not so recently made a commitment to play D1 college, but we're going to talk to her and kind of take us through a little bit of the recruiting process. So, Emily, you ultimately chose Binghamton as your college choice, but why don't you take us a little bit, walk through the process of making that choice? Like, how did you kind of narrow it down? Like, if you had a top three finalist, like, how do you kind of narrow it down from there?
Well, June of my sophomore year, I traveled a lot to many different schools, and I thought I was going to use lacrosse to get into an Ivy League school. But after visiting a few, such as Yale, Princeton, Brown, I realized that it wasn't the fit for me. And I've had visited Binghamton previously, and I knew a couple of girls that were there, and I just like how it's familiar, and the coaches are really nice. The facilities are incredible, and it came down between Binghamton and Wesleyan, but the coaches really pushed me to go to Binghamton. They were awesome, and I'm just really excited.
Yeah. You said you kind of realized going through the process that the Ivies weren't maybe not worked for you. What was it about that level that you were just kind of like, I thought I wanted to do it, but on second thought, I think I'd be happier somewhere else.
I think I would probably be very stressed between the sports and the academics because, I mean, like I am a smart kid in school, but without lacrosse, would probably not get into those schools normally, and I would also want to have a good time in college and just walking around the campuses. I didn't really feel like I belonged there, so I had to take that into consideration.
Yeah, that's always a big choice whenever you're going to college. You got to feel like we're going to feel at home. We're going to be comfortable because you're going to
Yes,
spend a lot of
exactly.
time. You're going to spend a lot of time there. So ultimately, Binghamton just kind of felt like home for you.
Yeah, felt really familiar, and I was really excited.
You kind of mentioned in our little bit of a pre-interview, you already got a teammate, former teammate, I guess, in high school that's there now. How much of an impact does something like that play? Like knowing a couple of the people there is.
It's great, actually. I went up last summer in August, and I know that my travel coach to the coach about me, and eventually she mentioned two more girls that were on my team, but they're a year older than me, and now this year they're both freshmen there, so it's going to help a lot to know at least two girls on the team going into Binghamton next year.
Yeah. Now, I should mention you committed back in 2012 when you would have been a sophomore. So how big, and that you play for for Love of the Game club team. So how big of an impact did the club dynamic have on your recruiting process?
It actually was the reason why I got recruited. My high school has a fairly new lacrosse program. It's been about 5 years, so the coaches aren't really quite sure how the whole recruiting process goes, but going into For the Love of the Game, they were really devoted to making sure that if I wanted to play in college, they were going to do what they could to help me.
Yeah. So like I said, obviously, that the recruiting process for anybody, especially I don't know if you have any older sisters that went on and played, but that's most parents and that they would only do this once if they're lucky. So
Oh, yes.
by the time
After
you ever
this, I
take
think
it
my
out,
parents are done with the recruiting.
I can imagine. I'm sure it was nice to get it out of the way, as a
Oh,
sophomore.
yeah, it's really nice now.
You kind of mentioned the Hewlett program, so take us a little bit back. What kind of recap quickly for us your guys' 2013 season? You obviously still a fairly new program in the grand scheme of things, but how did you guys do last year?
We did pretty well. We made it into the first round of the playoffs, but it was hard because we had lost about four players that really helped out the team the year before, and a girl who's my age, who's committed to Stony Brook, also tore her ACL, so we were suffering due to a loss of players, but we still made it into the playoffs like we'd planned.
And kind of looking ahead a little bit. I know the season's a little bit of ways, but what's the kind of team dynamic? What do you guys got coming back for the 2014 year?
Well, we've really only lost about two or three players that impacted the team. So we're a fairly young team. We have a lot of freshmen and sophomores that are going to help out the team. And like I said, I'll be back, and my friend who tore her ACL will be back. So I'm hoping to make it further into the playoffs and try and keep up with the big teams like Garden City and Manhasset. But I think we're going to be okay this year.
They have a few years ahead of you guys.
Oh,
You're
just a
still in the program.
few.
What's it like? You mentioned the program's only been around for about 5 or so years, and you're obviously going to be a senior, so you've been around for pretty much most of the life of this program. What's it like being one of those, founding members of a high school program?
It's nice. I mean, a lot of school records have been broken by me and my friends just because it just started, but we're just hoping to get more people involved so that when we do leave, people are still going to want to play and maybe go into college also, but we just don't want the program to die after the core five of us leave
Yeah,
for
they set
school.
those records a little bit high. You got to give them something to aim for.
Exactly.